working now on the front suspension, both sides. Right rear's off, now the engine's off, wheel comes off. Nigel Mansell's day is apparently done. So the frustration for the defending champion of this race, the defending champion of the series, has just escalated another notch.
For us or the crew to say you can't immediately see something wrong, remember that as little as a thousandth of an inch change can make a world of difference on the car.
That is right. And the car gives you all the information you need. You need to be able to read that information properly before it gets you into trouble.
The sixth-place car, Dominic Dobson, his teammate Scott Sharp, the one that got upside down. These cars are very similar in terms of their appearance. The only change really in the color of the roll bar. Dominic's is red, Scott's is blue. Scott's is out of the race.
And this may become the second three-car team of this season, because there is a rumor that is gathering momentum that Danny Sullivan, who tested for this team at Mid-Ohio, may in fact run a third car with PacWest at Vancouver. What a wealth of experience he would be to come into this team to help Dominic Dobson and Scott Sharp.
Well, and what a good relationship he has with the team's engineer, Alan Mertens. And in fact, it makes you wonder, did that test of that car help with the performance of this car here today?
Possibly. When you come into a game like IndyCar racing that's as competitive and as difficult to succeed in, you come in with a totally new team, a new package, it is very difficult to be successful. John Anderson, who's the team manager, has done a very good job here. Nigel
Mansell out of the car with Gary Gerould.
Nigel, what proved to be the problem? Was it the contact with your teammate?
I think so. The car just wasn't handling at all after that, and just a great shame for the Newman Haas team.
Tell us now about the incident. It looked like you were trying to tuck down as far as you could as you went into turn one.
Yeah, I got a great slipstream down the straight, and I was lapping, and I thought I was virtually almost half a car in front, and I saw Mario start to come across, and I tried to give him as much room as I possibly could, and came down on the inside of the pit lane, and it's just one of those things. I'm just so sorry it happened for him and happened to me.
Talk about the frustration of this season as the defending champion of this race and of the series, and how you just seemingly can't buy a break in 1994.
Well, unfortunately, that's motor racing, and you know, what happened today was unfortunately just a racing accident, and you know, we were going very well. I was very happy, and I had little Al in my sights. I think there's only about 2 or 3 seconds between us, and I was just looking forward towards the end of the race.
Thank you, Nigel. We've got a problem with the leader, Paul?
Yeah, a real strange thing, Gary. I think he'd intended to come into the pits. He slowed drastically, and then he came back up to race speed. Jan Beekes?
What I can tell you, Paul, is it was a big surprise for the Penske crew. We were standing right here. All of a sudden, they just dove over the wall to service Al Unser Jr., and then he did not come in. We will find out exactly, but I would speculate maybe some kind of electrical problem, and maybe he switched over to a backup, and now he's up to speed.
He was over and alongside the Guzman car. Suddenly, it shot ahead of Little Al. Then Little Al got it back under power and got going again. Boy, no indication at all. A very strange-looking sight.
I don't know what that was. We know it doesn't slip out of gear because they never really touch the gear shift on these cars. They stay in either 5th or 6th gear, 5th if they want more revs. But Al Jr. certainly seems to have recovered from whatever moment that was beside Maurizio Gugelmin.
He just turned the last lap at 160 miles an hour. That's only 3 off of his fastest lap in the race. And now the crew is radioing back and forth to him, and they're saying he doesn't intend to come in now. 140 laps are complete. Penske cars 1, 2, 3 at New Hampshire. But the question mark is on Little Al's car. We're back at Loudon, New Hampshire. On board Michael Andretti's car. He runs in 5th place. Dominic Dobson is set up just behind him and closing as we take a look at the Valvoline race summary after 141 laps. More than our share of caution laps, 35, 10 cars out of the race. A couple like Scott Sharp and Jacques Villeneuve with some fairly substantial damage to the car. The good news is everybody's okay. Arie Luyendyk suffered a strain to his right wrist, but even he says no problem. He'll be back racing right away. Look at Dobson.
And it is a battle.
Racy with Michael.
It is a battle for position. The Lola with the Ford engine versus the Reynard chassis with the Ford engine. Dobson has slowly caught up behind Michael Andretti. We're going to watch to see, is there a different line or something different Dobson can do to try and force his way by Michael. Michael is 5th and Dominic Dobson is 6th.
All right, that situation with Little Al where he suddenly slowed and then came back on the pace. Jan Beekes, you have any idea what that was?
Paul, it turns out that we were very close. We speculated possibly an electrical problem. What happened was he had a fuel pickup problem that they thought was a software glitch. So Al Unser Jr. reached up and turned the fuel mixture knob, and actually by changing that fuel mixture knob, he was able to get the thing working again. So a software problem, but Al Unser Jr. very quick to make an adjustment in the cockpit.
You can see him out there in front of Rahal. Boy, I hesitate to ask you on this. Boy, there's Jimmy Vasser alongside of Rahal. I'm not even going to ask. The explanation of how just richening it up helped is probably going to take us the next 2 or 3 hours. Except you'd probably do it in a sentence or two, Derek?
No, what was curious to me is what fuel mixture was.
Jimmy Vasser, the 18 car, started 12th, now runs in 7th. Robbie Gordon just behind him, though not a battle for position.
And we know Gordon's had his hands full. Now he gets to try and hold on to Jimmy Vasser. Both from California, have spent lots of time. They're good friends, these boys, but when it comes to the racetrack, it's every man for himself. But now we get another good chance to look at the Ford Electronics telemetry, real-time telemetry from Gordon's car. Low speed time telemetry from Gordon's car. Low speed through turn 4. 110 miles an hour.
Michael Andretti, Dominic Dobson to the outside. Dominic bottled up behind Gordon. Boy, he had a good run on him for a moment.
Oh, that's Paul Tracy
up behind him. Yep.
That was a good usage of traffic by Michael Andretti. He knew that Dobson would get blocked in behind Robbie Gordon, and he used it to his advantage. But Dobson knows he's faster than Michael.
And here comes Little Al in the pits, Jan Beekes.
Yes, he brings it around his teammate Paul Tracy's tire. He brings it to a stop right on the marks. We're not looking for any changes here. This is a scheduled stop, and behind him is Paul Tracy getting service at the same time. We're waiting for all the fuel to come in for Al Unser Jr. He's waiting for the signal from Roger Penske, and he's on his way. Let's go to Gary, who's with Paul.
And Paul Tracy also in, lighting up the tires as he exits after routine service, but under the green flag. We may get an interesting wrinkle to this one before it's all over.
13.7 seconds the stop for Al Unser Jr. The pit speed limit 80 miles an hour, but Penske's way down at the far end, so they can come out pretty quick. Gary Gerould.
We also wanted to mention the fact that we knew that Emerson Fittipaldi is going to have to also make a stop. He can't go the rest of the way. He doesn't have enough fuel. If they stay green, he can only get to about 192, which would put him 8 laps short. So we figure the other Penske car will also be making a stop sometime yet.
Jimmy Vasser in now to the pits, routine stop as well. These will be the last stops of the race here on the 153rd lap.
Look at the traffic jam now into turn 3. Al Jr. comes down the inside, behaves himself, looks around, assesses the situation, and then moves high through turn 4, back out into the racing groove. Quick look there again at Dominic Dobson. And where's Michael?
Michael Andretti coming off at 2 right now, so the battle very definitely is broken off. You're on board with Michael there. Fittipaldi, by the way, has a 22-second lead now over Al Unser Jr. 22 seconds is certainly longer than a pit stop, but with roll in and with roll out time, it's going to be pretty close. He's got a whole pit to do at 80 miles an hour, though, so you assume Little Al's going to get by. But still, you can't assume too much.
That is the big problem. 80 miles an hour. Believe it or not, it's so slow when you come down that pit lane. You just lose second after second. Al Jr. knows that, but it might make an interesting crew fight if they can get Emerson in and out in record speed.
Well, if you're talking individual discipline, as Little Al and Michael are alongside one another, the real question is, can Fittipaldi continue? Look at him sweep to the outside. Can Fittipaldi maintain, or Tracy sweeping to the outside, can Fittipaldi Fittipaldi maintained the discipline to stay at 80 miles an hour. So Paul Tracy closing on his teammate Al Unser Jr. in what is developing as a battle for second place.
And remember how Mansell outfoxed Tracy in traffic last year and took away a possible win. Maybe Tracy learned something. Maybe he can use the traffic to his advantage and try and go around Al Unser Jr. I don't believe they'll be under team orders. Do you think so?
No, I don't think so. This is the only battle on the circuit right now. Fight for second, Al Unser Jr. and Paul Tracy. We keep watching for Fittipaldi's stop.
Tracy, who had that flamboyant style for so long that got him in so much trouble, now being guided by his engineer Nigel Beresford and Rick Mears. They are the people who helped Paul Tracy sort his car out and his race weekend. And he really hasn't had the type of incidents this year that we've become almost accustomed to seeing Paul Tracy have.
Emerson Fittipaldi out in front. They're whittling away at him, though. They've taken 2 seconds off this battle for with Tracy and Unser Jr., which is only separated by 7/10. But Fittipaldi had a 22-second lead 4 laps ago. He's down to an 18.7-second lead. But we keep an eye on Fittipaldi, watching for his intent with regard to the pits. And the Penske cars are still 1, 2, and 3. New Hampshire International Speedway, the Slick 50 200. Next weekend, Speed World begins Saturday at 7:30 p.m. with NASCAR and the Goodies 500, and continues Sunday at 7:50 a.m. Eastern with Formula One, the Belgium Grand Prix. Speed World next week here on ESPN. There's the leader of the race, Emerson Fittipaldi, an 18.8-second lead on his teammates. Second place, Al Unser Jr. Paul Tracy is third. Let's go to the pits and Jan Beacon.
Our fourth place running Raul Boesel has brought it into the pits, and he will finally get a new right front tire. We can tell you it was not blistered. It must just have not been balanced. Boy, that was a quick stop. He almost killed it, but Raul Boesel is out of here.
Took over 12 seconds as he comes up to the 80-mile-an-hour speed limit. Boesel in 5th place.
Yeah, just drops him down because of that pit stop. Michael Andretti inherits that 4th place, but we do believe he may have to make another stop. But Boesel is the leader of his class at the moment, because these Penske cars, as they have been most of the year, are in a different class when it comes to the race. So Boesel having a quiet afternoon, but not in contention for a win.
Michael Andretti has been in the pits 5 times, the last time 56 laps ago. With Adrian Fernandez running 8. Had a little trouble on the start, getting sideways, set off a chain reaction accident, but since then's had a good day.
How to duck a hail of machine gun fire. You get a good look over his shoulder at the Delco Electronics. Off the throttle, look at the lateral G's build up, and his head leans on that headrest as the G's build up. Watch the G's disappear. Disappears and his head comes off the headrest. You cannot do 200 laps around here and hope to hold your head and your helmet with your own neck muscles. You do need support.
Well, Arnold